am in the Palm Springs area and I am looking at the Mazda CX-70. This is a 2025 model year and we have the inline-six cylinder right here and we have the PHEV right here. I'm going to have the opportunity to drive both of them, and what I'm going to do in this video is, I'm just going to talk about these vehicles. We'll talk a little bit about the powertrains, we will talk about some driving impressions, and of course I'm going to get into the good things and the bad things. So let's take a closer look right now. If you are wondering how you can tell the inline-six from the PHEV, there is one very, very simple way to do that, and that is going to be through the cladding. The PHEV model is going to have this matte black plastic cladding that goes around the wheels and underneath the doors, whereas the gasoline model, and it's kind of hard to see because this vehicle is black, the gasoline model has body paint colored cladding. So you have the black cladding there and then body colored cladding there. So if you had a soil red metallic vehicle, the cladding on the inline-six would be soil red metallic around the wheel wells. The other way to tell is you're going to have badging right here on the side of the vehicle, inline versus PHEV. And if you come around to the back of the vehicle, you will see there's just a PHEV badge right there versus the just SkyActiv G badge right there. So how can you tell? The simplest way? Cladding. Now the difference that you won't see is going to be underneath the hood. This has a 3.3 liter inline six-cylinder engine that delivers 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. And this is the Turbo S model. So there will be a turbo model coming, a base powertrain, but this right here is the Turbo S, and it is tuned to deliver more power on premium fuel. Now, when you come over here, you're going to have your hybrid powertrain combined with a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine. You're looking at 323 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. So the same amount of torque that you get in the Turbo S powertrain, but a little less horsepower. And the added bonus for this is you're going to get 26 miles of all-electric range. So there you go. There's another little difference there. What you don't see under the hood is also going to be different. Inline-six versus plug-in hybrid powertrain with a 2.5 liter four. I'm currently in the PHEV version of the CX-70, and I just want to give some brief impressions. This is actually the first vehicle I'm driving in the CX-70 lineup, and what I want to say is I really like it when it's in EV mode. But it's also really good when you switch it over into hybrid mode and you toggle it over into sport mode. It's obviously going to be quieter when the engine isn't on, but the engine, when it does switch on, is noticeable, but not... It's not bad. So overall, I really like this powertrain. I liked it in the CX-90. I like it here. It works really well. The power is smooth and seamless, both in electric only mode and when you get it into the hybrid mode, once you've exhausted the all electric range. And frankly, I think a vehicle like this is exactly what we need in cities, because you really wouldn't be spending all that much time using your gasoline unless you're taking a road trip. So yeah, I like this. I'm now behind the wheel of the Turbo S model of the 2025 Mazda CX-70, and it is time for me to give you some driving impressions of this vehicle. And I really wish I could show you the map that I'm looking at, because we are getting ready to head into some seriously twisty bits, and I'm excited. I drove the PHEV yesterday and it was really nice. But I have to tell you, this 3.3 liter inline six-cylinder engine is just so much better. And the Turbo S version with the extra horsepower and torque is, it brings a smile to my face. This is just one of the best handling midsize SUVs I think I've driven in a really long time. It's holding the twisty bits really well, and I don't know if you can see anything in the background of what's going on, but Yeah, there's a lot of twisting and turning going on, and I feel like I'm almost driving a sports car. And that to me is pretty phenomenal when you are thinking about a midsize SUV. So while the PHEV is great, good, it's good, it's really good, and it's great for, you know, city environment, I have to say my soul is right here with the inline-six cylinder and the Turbo S version. At this point, I want to talk a little bit about how the CX-70 is different from the CX-90 because they are built on the same large vehicle platform. You know, they do share the same powertrains. They have a lot of the same interior fit and finishes. They have a lot of the same things in common. But one of the biggest differences you're going to notice is on this front end, it is designed to be just a little bit sportier. So, you know, it's a little bit more squished, and they just have added some sportier elements to it so that the design is slightly different. But I'll be honest with you, if you're looking at it from the side, I mean, you're really not going to tell too much of a difference. It's going to be, you know, the front end and the sportiness of that. But obviously, when you open up this rear door, the biggest difference is going to be the fact that there is no third row back here. You just have a cargo area. So, and what a cargo area it is. I think they've done a really nice job with this area here because in addition to having some excellent volume, you do have an available cargo cover. And I'm going to point out these aren't actually cup holders back here, but they're little storage spaces. So if you were camping in this vehicle, I don't know, car camping, you could, you know, fold your seats down, put a mattress back here. You could, you know, store a lamp or your cell phone or whatever back there. So these aren't cup holders. They aren't carryover, but they're little storage spaces to set things. So speaking of storage spaces, this is also going to be different from the CX-90 because, yeah, you have this little subfloor, underfloor storage here. And I will point out it goes back into this area here so you can store some little things and keep them completely covered. Even if you don't use, you know, the cargo cover, you know, nobody's going to see what you have under there. This also has a spare tire. That is a huge bonus. And I will point out, let's see, we'll pull this tray forward. You have another storage space up right against the back of the second row seats. And while it'll be really hard to access from the back of the vehicle here, it is pretty easy to access if you have those seats folded down. So something else that's going to be different from the CX-90 is you have these power folding seats here, which you don't have in the CX-90. So and I guess I shouldn't say they're power folding. There's a release mechanism right here to put them down. So you don't have that. So yeah, no third row. Sportier appearance, lots of good cargo storage options here in the back. And yep, that is how you're going to be able to tell the difference from the CX-70 to the CX-90. All right, it is time for me to talk about the things that I like on the 2025 Mazda CX-70, and yeah, we're just going to start with the ride and the handling as well as the powertrain on this vehicle. This is the 3.3 liter inline-six cylinder, and it's the Turbo S model, so you're looking at, I think it's 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. And this is really, really nice. It's the same power that you get in the CX-90, but it somehow feels better. And this just feels more nimble, more sporty, and that becomes thing number one. I've been driving on twisty bits, and you would not think a midsize SUV would handle twisty bits very well, and yeah, it does. It is literally bringing a smile to my face. So that absolutely makes the first thing on the like list. Another thing I like is going to be the wireless Apple CarPlay. Now, because I'm recording with my phone, I can't really show you much on this because it'll freeze and you guys will complain. But suffice it to say, this is a touchscreen, when you are in Apple CarPlay, but the infotainment system is not a touchscreen when you have moved into the actual Mazda system. So I like the fact that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are touchscreen. I do wish that this infotainment system was also touchscreen, but you know, I'll be honest with you, this touch controller and rotary dial thing doesn't really bother me, but I know it bothers a lot of people. So this does not make my like list or my do not like list. This right here makes my like list. Now, the next thing that I really like is also kind of in this area. I love the fact that Mazda does not make all of the things inside the screen. That would get really annoying if you had to use this touch controller for doing everything. Nope, your HVAC controls are right here, your heated steering wheel, heated seats, your cooled seats, your fan control. All of these are hard buttons right here, which are really easy to access while you are driving. And as you can see, we're driving on some windy roads. I don't want to have to take my eyes off the road to, futz with the controls. So I really like the fact that Mazda, you know, has made things touchable. That gets a thumbs up. Now, another thing I like is all of the really nice details you have on this vehicle. And so this is just one of the trim choices, and it's a little bit more bougie than some of the other ones because you do have the suede seat inserts and this lovely caramel color with some suede on the dash. But whatever the color combo you choose, you do get the two-tone accents and some just like really nice stitching and just good details. I like the details on this vehicle. I think they've done a really good job, and a lot of people are a little bit confused about Mazda's placement because it's not quite luxury, but it's not mainstream either. It's more of a near luxury vehicle, and if you really want to look at a vehicle to compare this to, I would send you to Lexus or Acura. Maybe even Infiniti, but I don't consider Infiniti near luxury anymore. But at any rate, if you compare this to those vehicles, these details are just far and away so much better than what you will see in, you know, those vehicles. And yeah, we're gonna put it in park really quick because another detail and another thing that I really like on the Mazda CX-70 is actually going to be in the back here. And we've talked about this a little bit with the differences between the PHEV, or the differences between the CX-90 and the CX-70, but just look at this cargo area, and I'm really a huge fan of the subfloor with all of the extra storage you have, and the fact that this has a spare tire. You also have these seats that will pop down, and I have my backpack on one of the seats, so we'll only put one down. But I love the quick release buttons back here. This is just a really thoughtful, easy to use vehicle, and I love what Mazda has done here. And if you don't need a 3-row vehicle, this is just a really, really good choice because of the details, the storage, and just all of the nice finishing touches. I mean, you even have a kick-activated liftgate. And finally, I just want to talk briefly about the sound system, and I am absolutely putting that on my like list. This is a premium system from Bose, and they put a USB stick in this area here with some curated music for us to listen to. And I have to tell you, whenever I listen to Norah Jones on a really good sound system, you can hear every breath she takes. You can hear, you know, the music as it echoes, you know, from, you know, things over here to things over here. And this sound system is just so good. And I really, really enjoyed. And I'm not an audiophile, but I really enjoyed this. And I didn't hear any distortion. I didn't hear any of the things that would, you know, the vibration or any of the things that would make this icky. And so, you know, not an audiophile, but I love the sound system. I think it worked really well, and the sound was just excellent. The sound, like listening to Norah Jones on this with her, you know, the breaths she was taking, and yeah, I can't go into any more detail about this, but I just want to say I like it, and I'm sorry I can't share it with you. It is now time for me to get into the things that I do not like about the Mazda CX-70, and I'll be honest with you, I am stretching. I have not found much that I don't like, because I like how it drives, I like how it handles, I like the details. You've heard all the things that I like, and that doesn't leave a lot to not like. So I don't know that any of these things are deal breakers. Actually, they're not deal breakers. I like this car. But these are things that you should know that are just kind of ish about the Mazda CX-70. And I'll be honest, two things. I've only got two things for you. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about will not surprise you, because, yep, we're going to talk about the wireless charging. Even though this has a little bit of a rubberized pad down here, this does not hold your phone in. And I found that, especially on the twisty bits that we were driving, my phone would slide around, and you can see right here where it shows if your phone is charging or not. Yeah, my phone kept saying, I'd get like a little red exclamation point there, and it would switch off and it would say wireless charging is not available. So this just doesn't hold your phone in very well. And when I was charging, when I was on a straightaway and it didn't like somehow click off, it did heat up my phone. Now, I'm only in the car for short amounts of time, so I couldn't tell you over a 3-hour period if this overheated my phone, shut down the system, did any of those things, but it did heat up my phone. And frankly, the system doesn't work very well because your phone isn't held in, and it kept coming off the charge anyway. So I kept having to like move my phone a little bit here, move it a little bit there to get it back on the charger. So you know how I feel about charging systems, wireless charging systems in cars that don't work. If you can't make it work, like just put a tray there. I'd rather wire in and use a cord than have to futz around with a wireless system that's just not working. So if it doesn't work, don't do it. Heads up, Mazda. Don't do it. Now, the other thing that I don't like is going to be the cup holders. And they're not awful. I'm gonna say that. They're not awful. And I have like a small coffee right here, and it's being held in fairly well in both of these cup holders. But, they're not going to fit a larger bottle, like a big gulp or something like that in there. And when you take a little bottle of water, it does bobble around a little bit. Now, I don't think it's going to fall out. Maybe with some of the big twisty bits it could fall out, but just having it bobble around in there was a little bit annoying. So, and that could be easily solved just by putting maybe one more prongy thing in right here to be able to hold that in a little bit better. But, it does hold my coffee. That's the important thing. Super important, coffee. But, yeah, maybe one more prongy thing. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have for you on the things that I don't like. Now, maybe when I have this for a longer test, I will figure out some other things, but those are the two things I have for you today. All right, that is what I have for you today, and it's a lot, on the 2025 Mazda CX-70. Thank you for watching, and I will see you down the road.